What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hopeful Romantic Podcast. I'm really excited about today's show. It's sex, sex, sex. Let's talk about sex, baby. Um, just want to put it out there, man. It's crazy. When I started talking to these young ladies about sex, all right, the one thing I discovered was, our male perception of sex and what we think they want, there's a huge disconnect, man. There's a lot going on, and we really, really need to kind of address this. A lot of my friends and a lot of guys that I know, they go based on their ego, and the problem with that is when you go based on with your ego and you talk about how good your sex game is and how on point you are, buddy. I hate to say it to you, man. Sometimes these women are just sparing your feelings. Sometimes they're just out there kind of making sure that they keep the relationship, happy, warm, and they're not completely, crushing your ego. The problem is this. I wanted to bring a group of people together where we can have an honest conversation, a real conversation about sex. Let's talk about it. Let's ask the questions that need to be asked. Let's make sure that we address things. And here's the deal with me. I don't know shit. I'm not sitting here claiming like I'm Mr. Lover Love. I don't know shit. I got my pen, I got my pad out. I'm ready to take notes and grow. Because the key to not making the same mistakes, you could be the Mac, you could be the man, you could be having sex with different women every night, and you're making the same damn mistakes. Or you could be in a relationship and you just don't understand why you're not getting the fantasy from your lady. Or you'll be in a relationship and not understand why the well has gone dry. Well, I'm here so that you can hear from these ladies. We got people that are married. We got people that are dating. Hopefully, Miss Illy hops on. We got different perspectives. So, like I said, this is a chance to really listen to women and pay attention to what their needs are. I really want people to comment. I really want people to like, share. Let us know what you're thinking when you hear some of the things. Um, One of the first things, it's so funny because I saw a meme, right? And it's circulating, and it's about sex. And the funniest thing about this meme was when you go into the comments, and we're gonna touch on that and what some of the thoughts that these women have when there's no filter. Some of the things they're trying to say. Now, this shit is hilarious because I have firsthand account, right? I'll be with a friend and he'll tell me how, I hit that shit. Yo, I killed it. Yo, last night, man, that shit was crazy. And then you're in a different circle with the ladies, and you talk about, yeah, he stepped on a Lego and came in 5 seconds. You're like, what? That's not the story that he gave. You know what I mean? And I find that a lot of times we lead with our ego. So first and foremost, I want to welcome Miss Chris. How you doing? How's everything?
I am good. It's just life. It's crazy right now. I'm in
Always.
my car. Life is just busy. It's always busy, but it's
It's
good.
always busy.
Me.
Lisa B, what's going on? How are you feeling? How's everything?
I'm doing good. I'm just having enjoying some time away from my kids, to be honest.
Well, look, I want to say, I hope you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving. Um, we definitely, everybody has, at some point in your life, no matter what you go through, you have something to be thankful for. And I'm definitely thankful for you guys to being able to join me and hop on and, have these type of conversations. So one of the first things is we're going to ease into our conversation. That's first.
Okay.
We're going to ease into our conversation, and we're going to start with one of the questions that usually goes around. All right. So I'm going to ask you guys, does size matter?
Boy,
Does size matter?
the dumbest question in the history of questions. Size will always matter. One,
I disagree.
if it's too small, eh. Number two, if it's too big, I'm not fucking with it. So that's my 2 cents on it. Go ahead, go. What's your opinion on that one?
I feel like it doesn't matter, just because, like she said, if it's too big, then no girl wants to handle that. And if it's small, as long as you know what you're doing and the motion in the ocean, you
The
could come
most
through
should be
okay.
ocean. You know, it's so funny because I think we could even start off talking about it. Porn has really distorted guys' ideas of sex, and they're really
Facts.
convinced like unless you're working with a piece on you, you're not gonna. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna satisfy your girl. And from what I'm
But
hearing
there's
from you
a
guys,
reason why in the porn the girl is like trying to get away. There's a reason. It's not because it's so magical and intense that she's just like, oh my gosh, my head's gonna explode. No, it's because she literally feels like her guts might fall out of her.
her guts might fall out. You know, that's good to know because a lot of guys, what they'll do is again they lead. What's going on, Miss Illy? They'll lead
What up? What up?
with their entire like I said, a lot of this conversation is gonna have to do with the male ego.
All right, I'm gonna call you
That's
after.
why I said, yo, today
Bye.
I'm showing up with my pen and my pad to take notes because I want to hear it from you. I want to know what it is exactly you want to hear. I want to know what you want to feel. I want to know what men are doing right. What are we doing wrong? So, Miss Illy, welcome, man. Welcome in. Hopefully, you good? All right. All right. So, Miss
Feel like
Illy,
my lady.
we did a brief intro and we're asking, does size matter?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, wow. Do I have to tell you why it matters?
I
Yes.
mean, it's up to you. You gotta, it's definitely up to you. You got to let us know.
I do believe that size matters. I mean, come on, like, are we getting vulgar? Is this one of those conversations?
Let's go. This is let's talk about sex, baby. For real. Let's do this. Let's see. Like I said, man, I'm really trying to cut through the male ego because I feel like a lot of guys, right? Women that are in relationships, sometimes they cater to their man. Sometimes they're happy with their man, and so they don't ruffle feathers. They kind of like pussyfoot around what they're really feeling. So what I'm hoping is that y'all come out strong and let people know, like, yo, like I said, I
Are we
don't think
live
to
right
know.
now? It says live in the corner. What's happening? Are we on?
Yeah, we live. We
Live.
live.
No, I didn't know. I thought it was 8:30.
No, we live. I'm like I said, man, I'm taking notes. I want to know. Let me know. Let me know the truth. Yeah, we got Michelle Cindy. Hey, what's up? Jason Morales, what's
And
going
where we
on?
streaming on tonight? You're on Facebook?
We're on Facebook and we're on YouTube.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know exactly how to go between the two, Mike, to be honest. So
It's all good.
last time I did that, you came back and you sounded like a robot, so that wasn't working out.
No, it's all good. We're just trying to. All right, so here we go. What do you call it? Some of the topics we're gonna cover, man, is I saw a meme, right, on the internet, and the question was, what's something that you want men to stop doing in the bedroom? Like, what's something that you want them to stop that they repeatedly do, or something that you're like, bro, that's not working, that's not turning me on. What is your problem? You know what I mean? I want to know, and inquiring minds want to know. Let us know.
Okay. Who's going
Who's
first?
first?
Go ahead, Chris. You can start. We'll go around. All right, Lisa, you start because I see Chris getting nervous.
Okay. Yeah. I think she's getting situated.
Yeah, she's getting situated. She's ready to go in. She's
Okay.
ready to go in.
You know what I would really like to happen with guys? I really would like them to stop representing something that they're not. Like, I've heard, yes, I am married, but I have heard guys say things like, yeah, I got the Mandingo, I lay it down, right? And then it comes down to being intimate, and you're like, hold up, where is it exactly? And then they totally don't know what they're doing.
I think our
And then
definition
they
of
don't know what
Mandingo
they're
is
doing
different.
either. What?
Yeah, like I think our definition of Mandingo is not aligned. I think it's something else because that's not a Mandingo.
I think all the women's version of that is the same. It's the man's version that's different. What do you think, girls?
Yeah, no, I remember the moment that I learned that lesson. Like, oh, the ones that say it's good, it's never good.
Never good.
Never good. Men that are good, they don't say nothing. Like, you'll see.
Yeah, they keep it behind the scenes.
You know what it is too. A lot of times, right? From what I see, a lot of times you hype it up so much that even if it's good, it never lives up to the actual hype.
Expectation, exactly.
Right. You set the bar too high. Sometimes it's better to come in like, nah, you might get 2 bumps out of me. Right. You know what I mean? So if you get 4, you're happy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What do you call it? So in the it was hilarious, man. In the post, they got so many responses. They were talking about stuff like stop knocking on the door before you put it in. Kind of stuff. Like they were saying stuff like that.
That's nice. Saying, what's wrong with that?
Hey, no, I'm just saying. These are some of the things that they had. What do you call it? And it just focus on what's.
Stop asking whose is it. Stop asking me that. If you have to ask.
So one girl says, "It's mine, sir. I got it on my birthday."
That part.
Yeah. I'd be like, I don't want them to say like, who's your daddy? Be like, listen, if my daddy wasn't here, I wouldn't be into it. I'm not trying to live that experience. You might have to go to Louisiana for that one.
Okay, so in defense, I think in that case, sometimes it's a give and take, because there's some guys that enjoy being called daddy. You know what I'm saying? I can't, so that's like a give and take. I get it, I get it. A lot of times, especially if you had like a toxic relationship with your dad, you're like, no, motherfucker. He goes, call me daddy. You punch him in the face.
Even if it's the opposite. Like, I have a wonderful relationship with my father. And so, like, the last thing is anything sexual. Like, I don't want to call you that. Like, I might do it in our everyday life, jokingly or whatever. But, like, while we're being intimate, I don't want daddy or any thoughts of him.
Yeah. Be like, I straight up don't want to think about that.
Thanks, but no thanks.
What do you call it?
Or another thing that I don't want happening in the bedroom, unless we've had a prior conversation about it, anal play is just not a go. Like, that's something you need to prepare for. You can't just be doing this willy-nilly.
That's what you're gonna say. Exactly. I agree 100%. And I think that can go with anything that's like unorthodox. If you haven't discussed it, don't just be like doing stuff,
For real.
Because when like in Kevin Hart in his stand-up, he was like how he was watching the porn and the dude was spitting in the girl's face. So like, don't do that if we didn't have that discussion beforehand. What are you doing?
Yeah, there's boundaries that you gotta have, right? It's like, where are you coming from with this extra stuff? Like, can you at least ask me or let me know? Don't surprise me. That shit is hilarious.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so one of the other things, I'm gonna go through just a list of the things. It was when I tell you, it was one of the funniest threads that I've read in a long time, man. Read in a long time. What do you call it? One of the girls wrote, she said, if I say come inside me, I don't mean it.
That part. Don't listen to me. I'm not in my right mind.
She said, if I say come inside me anything said during sex, do not hold me to it.
Including I love you, ladies.
Including I love you. Yeah, he's like, don't tell me I love you. The other one was, she was talking about warming up the car before you take it for a drive. They were like, listen, dude.
Facts.
They're talking about, can we talk more about that? More about foreplay and the importance of it. And what your definition of foreplay is compared to a lot of men's definition of foreplay.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, we're warming up a car, not a lawnmower. Because some dudes will do the foreplay, but it's just like aggressive. And, like, you got to ease your way into it.
Yeah, it just feels like from what the feedback that I get from women, that a lot of it has to do with it's very rushed. And it's really just an end to justify it, like a means. It's an end to a means. It's like, I'm going to do this because I have to be able to get to the kitty.
What I'm trying to get to, right.
Right. And Chris, we were talking about foreplay. Yeah. What's the importance of foreplay in a relationship or during sex?
Necessary. 100%
mandatory.
Necessary. It is mandatory. Necessary. Yes. All of the synonyms.
Like, if you don't want to rev up the engine,
you gotta get a
go
sweat.
Buy it.
You know, it's that natural, you know, the natural lubricant, all the fluids. You know, you got to get it there.
So talk to me about it. Tell us.
The thing too with men that they need to understand is that like every woman is different. Some women do like it rough and aggressive or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it's important again to talk to your partner, figure out how they like it so that you can, you know, figure each other out, because every new experience is going to be different. What worked on the last chick might not work on this one.
Yeah, I feel like I want to keep going down this path because of the importance of foreplay. I feel like, again, a lot of it goes back to the fact that a lot of us learned about sex through pornography. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So a lot of the root of our foreplay, a lot of the root of our preconceived notions, a lot of the root of what we think sex is, dominance, alpha male, control. A lot of times that's what a lot of my friends, especially, and it's crazy because it doesn't matter if a guy's 22, 23, or he's like 45 years old. We're having like the same conversations. And it's very much about how they dominated and how they owned it and how they ran it. And you're like, And then, like I said before,
whole time you ain't even like it.
Yeah, then you go around these circles like of women. Like I was raised with sisters. You know what I'm saying? So you'll hear shit and you'll hear the guys' versions in the locker room talking about sex, blah, 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 blah. And then when I'd be in like my living room or hanging out with my sisters, you would hear the way they talk about guys. And I would laugh and I'd be like, oh shit.
Exactly opposite.
Like homeboy thought he was doing something with that. Homeboy thought he was like, and meanwhile, she's over here like, nah, buddy, you're not it. You're not it. And I want to explore more. You guys talk about the foreplay. Talk about what you want to see from a man before you get intimate with him. What do you want to see beforehand? You know what I mean? A lot of times, I talk about the mental orgasm, but this isn't about me. This is about me learning from you guys. Talk to me about what you want mentally from a man. What do you want emotionally from a man when you're ready to take that step or when you're ready to get right? You know what I mean? I'm not saying the sex has to be relationship sex, romantic. It could be a fling, but what does a guy have to do to get you there mentally? What is you're on a date, you enjoy the guy.
Read the room. I think it's for a man to read the room. A lot of times if a man has an objective, he's all about that objective. And I might be down for it too, but maybe I'm a little hesitant. Like, feel that energy and let's ease into it versus like, let's go for the gusto. I think that's probably the biggest thing with men. They be on their tunnel vision sometimes. It's like, pause. I don't even like you, dude. Like, why are you pushing up on me?
Do you feel men, right? Like I've always been told that men that are in relationships or that are married, right? A lot of times, not all, obviously there's huge exceptions to this rule, but like a lot of times they'll walk into a situation, they feel secure, they're not pressed to get pussy because they got it at home. So they're very chill and they're not pressed. And when a man is single, sometimes he projects that thirst and women can feel that. Is that true? Yeah. Or is that just something?
I think it is true. Because sometimes when a guy hasn't had some in a while, and then let's say we're hanging out in his bedroom, and then all of a sudden we're touching each other. We're touching each other. Like, let's get through this. I need this now.
They're pressed. What do you call it? I'm interested to know. Like you're dating now, right? You guys are, let's say, dating somebody. You're out there. What are some of the mistakes men are doing when they're chasing sex? When they want to have what are some of the things you're running across where you're like, buddy, slow down? Or what is it that they're doing when you go on these dates? Or they're saying that, okay, buddy, this is not going to happen. Or better yet, that's the question. How long into a situation do you know whether you want to get physical or not?
Right away.
Right absolutely. Right away.
And he can easily change my mind by the things that he says. Because I've met men that I've been attracted to and interested in being intimate with, but they kill it because they're too overly eager about it. I think just even talking about sex too soon, period, or talking about it if it's not being reciprocated. Like dudes will bring up the conversation and bring up the conversation and bring up the conversation. And it's like, dude, like, I just met you 3 days ago. let's relax, you know, or yeah, just the overly aggressive. It just be too much talking. Like we're grown, you know, we know that at some point that's going to be part of the equation. And if we haven't naturally evolved to that space, it just comes off as thirsty if you keep bringing it up to me.
Especially if I don't know your last name.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
haven't even met in person like yet. Common, yeah, we need to learn common knowledge, you know.
Yeah, can there be some trust?
What's your last name? When's your birthday? Like, let's get to that. What are you planning for the future?
Can I know that if we're being intimate, you're not gonna like harvest my liver later? Sell it on the black market.
That's funny.
But that's a legit concern because going out on dates now, I'm like I live in South Florida, so it's that idea is there. Am I gonna get drugged and kidnapped and be sold into the sex slave?
Amen.
You know,
amen. For real. Sex trafficking is for real.
Yeah, I think it's dope. I remember a couple of years ago, an OG of mine gave me the best advice, man. He goes, "Hey, Mike," he's an OG, Mr. Hickman. I worked with him at a group home back in the day. And he looks at me and goes, he talks so smooth, this guy. He's an older dude, was into jazz. He talked real smooth like this, man. He goes, "Hey, Mike, when you're out with a girl, it comes to a certain point in the date, right? And she likes you and you think she likes you, shut the fuck up. Because at that moment, I swear to God, that's what he said. He goes, shut the fuck up. He goes, because at that moment, the only thing you could do is talk yourself out of the pussy. That's it. He's like, from then on, from that moment,
advice. That is
shut up.
Advice.
Yeah, you know, and I hear that from you guys all the time, like from different women all the time. They're like, my sister told me the funniest story years ago. My sister goes, one of my sisters goes, "Yo, this guy was so fine, man. Oh my God, yo, he's just my type. You know, oh my God, this guy was insane. Da 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 da." And then halfway through the day, he said, "Pacifically." She was like, she said, "Pacifically." I specifically told you. She was like, "Yo, at that moment in time, I could not look at this guy the same way the rest of the time. That's it. It was over."
For real, it's a turn off.
It might have just been a little lisp he had or something.
Something. She was like, there was nothing that this guy could do. Nothing that this guy could do to bring him back from what I heard in that moment. And I was dying. Yo, yeah, my OG, man, he said that. He was like, at some point in the date, you got a couple of smiles at her. She's looking at you like she likes you. I promise you, shut the fuck up. Stop talking.
Well, that's something else guys do too in general, even like talk too much. Because I've been on dates with guys and it's just like, sir, like, what is this, a dissertation? They just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. Like, get to know me, dear. Are you here for me or is this?
So that's a good question right there. So are you saying, right, that in dating scenarios and situations, you would want find out more about me? Start asking more questions about me. Stop talking about yourself. I don't want it to be
one-sided in either direction. Like it needs to be a conversation, you know, like we're both some nice back and forth. Because if it's like an interview, that also is kind of like, okay, what is this? CIA?
Okay, so
and then we're like, if we wanted to learn about you, we subscribe to your show. You know, if it was just about you.
That part. I'll follow you on Instagram since this is what we're doing tonight.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Okay, I got a question. What's something, and we kind of touched on it, but let's take a deeper dive because I feel like a lot of the women that are going to listen to this are either going to agree with you. I'm mostly going to agree with you guys on what you need more of. What do you need more of? Like, okay, so let's talk about times where you've been in long-term relationships. Okay, because we could talk about dating and let's talk about the times you've been in long-term relationships and you had your partner. What is something that you needed from them, right? That you wish you could verbalize and say, hey, look, this is what I need more of from you. Because a lot of times, like I said, I always talk about the mental orgasm, but I really want to hear from the woman's perspective. I want to know, like when you're stressing, when you're going through things, when you got a lot on your plate, what is it that you need from these men in order to be able to relax and really enjoy sex? Anybody?
Once you're already in the relationship?
I'm sorry?
You're asking once you're already in the relationship and you've already been intimate?
Yeah, you're in the relationship. You've been there for a while. So, like, what are some of the things that you need from your mate? Like, you know, again, we're talking about dating. Dating is very easy. Like, as far as like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, you kind of know what you're walking into. But after a while, you've been together for years. I know, Lisa, you've been married for a long time. And again, I'm not asking you like, you know, divulge your private information or anything like that. But what I'm saying is like, give women advice. Like, let them know, like, what is it that you need from a relationship so that you feel more sexy, so that you're able to concentrate on pleasure.
I guess
we
need to feel like we're more than just our role, I guess. Like, don't treat me like I'm just the mom of your kid, you know, or I'm just the person who takes care of the house. Like compliment me about what I look like, or if I had something new, if I tried something new, or like if you're working out, like, oh, I can see it's really paying off. Like, maybe it isn't, but you could say that it is. You know? Because if I'm feeling like you're thinking I'm hot shit, then, you know, then that makes me feel better and it makes me want to be more physical.
I feel like you're hitting on a really important point, because you're talking about something that I say all the time. One of the things I say is that a lot of times when a relationship has gone on for a long time, you remember she's a wife or a partner, and you remember that she's a mother, but what you forget is to address the woman in her. You stop speaking to the woman in her, meaning you stop courting her. You stop, I think guys need to remember, remember what you did to get her. Remember the romance before you got the pussy. Because unfortunately, you know how there's like AD and BC? I delineate relationships before and after. You literally have to remember that time when you were courting her, when what she thought about you was important in terms of your looks, your appearance, shaving before your hygiene, all these things. Address them, but also, by addressing the woman in her, you're addressing a lot of her fears, a lot of her insecurities, and a lot of the things that she needs to be able to feel sexy. So.
But I think the other thing is, you know what?
Especially like a lot of guys let it.
Hold on, let me get Christina. Christina, go ahead.
After the kids go to bed, you know what? Have a couch date. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Have a date on the couch. Pour me a glass of wine. Give me a little back rub. Say, baby, come sit over here. Or sit behind me and give me a little back rub. And work the neck, and then little kisses, and then wait a little while, let Netflix play a little, and then a little bit later, work on some more.
Are you still watching? No, you're right. Like the way you lay it out is like
don't throw it all. I don't want it all at once. Give it little by little breadcrumbs. Give me little breadcrumbs. Give me little.
Even in reverse to that, like, of course, women, we love flattery, we love praise, we love to be made, cared for, and that does help the mood. But again, if you speak to her love languages, whatever those are, if you do things that make her feel attracted to you, because for me, my love language is acts of service. So you can bring home my dry cleaning and I'm gonna be like, baby, let's get it popping. So it just depends on what. So therefore, you don't even have to, in that scenario, you don't have to woo me. I'm there because you've done whatever it is that I needed to feel attracted to you as a man.
Yeah,
you cleared that mental space. Absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Christina, you hit on something, right, that I want to kind of elaborate on. A lot of times, guys, right, we think that we have to do the big gesture, right? And what we don't realize is that, like you just said, the end of the day, couch date, to sit down, ask me how my day is, ask me about me. You know what I mean? Couples, they get into this rut where they're asking about the bills, the kids, taking, moving, shaking, whatever. And people don't look at each other and say, how are you feeling? What's going on with you? And I think that communication is so important. That communication is so important for women, especially. You know what I'm saying? Like I always say, for women, communication equals love. They need that time. You know what I mean? To get things off their chest, talk, let you know. And I always say, for men that complain about their women talking to them too much, bro, it's a poorly wrapped compliment, man. It's a poorly wrapped compliment. She's coming to you. She could literally go to any of her friends. She can call her sister. She can call her brother. She can call anybody. But she wants to sit on the couch and talk to you and tell you about the day and tell you about the day at work and tell you about whatever.
Here's the little insider on that. As we're talking to you, our vagina muscles are relaxing,
loosening.
They are coming. They're chilling.
Where's my pen, guys?
Yes. They are loosening
Where's my
up.
pen, man?
They're opening up to you, just like a flower.
Like
the more
you said,
you
let me get that again. You said like a flower,
vagina muscles
are
loosening and opening up to you like a flower.
Take notes, guys. For you guys, right, that are dealing with your lady, your wife, your girl that you've been in a long relationship with, right? And you want to trap yourself in the room and play your game. Get on your video game or do whatever hobby you have and just kind of escape. You're literally drying her vagina up when you do that.
Yes. And it has nothing to do with hydration. Yeah, it has a little bit to do with hydration and, whether you're intaking pineapple and cranberry juice and all that, because that's just, helping the health and the taste. But you're literally drying up my vagina by like ignoring me.
And I feel like couples, they get into this cycle, right? Where when communication stops, the woman gets an attitude, right? But when sex stops, the man gets an attitude. And you guys find yourself in this vicious cycle. This vicious cycle where it's like, I'm not getting the sex I need to make me feel loved and wanted as a man. And you're not getting the communication that makes you feel validated, loved, wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like in this relationship, like I need to know I have a secure spot in your brain. You're not making me feel that. You know what I mean? And guys, it does you right to understand what these women are saying. They're saying communication is the key. Yo, it doesn't take, I know guys that spend more time setting their fantasy football lineup on a daily basis than they do investing in their own relationship. And then they're wondering why they're not having sex.
Why she got an attitude all the time?
Yeah, she's wondering why she's grumpy. Why is she bitching and moaning? Yo, she's bitching and moaning because you're not handling business on the bigger level. You know what I mean? I also want to talk about this, right? I want to talk about fantasies. A lot of my guys, right, that I do relationship coaching with, one of the big deals is they want to be more adventurous in the bedroom. And they find that their wife is like, you better, nah. And they just completely cut them off, right? So my question to you is, what are some techniques that you would like to see from a guy or a mate or somebody that wanted to be more adventurous in the bedroom? Is it, well, I'm going to let you guys answer, what is something that you need to see to be like, oh, okay, I'll try that?
It's simple, but don't rush.
What would you call adventurous?
Yeah, I'm going to put anal out there. Because I have been on dates and like, not even dates, just talking. And they're like, hey, do you do anal, right? I'm like,
oh God.
I don't know you. I don't know.
A hell of a
it's the same thing with pictures. Yeah.
Right. Like, what are we doing?
Jesus.
That's the quality of men that are out there. It's bad. But if you're in that relationship and it's long-term and it's trusting, you can't just jump into something like that. It's starting with the little pinky. Once you are talking to her and all of the muscles are relaxing.
Let them know. There you go.
You gotta start the tip of your pinky.
Slowly.
Slowly. Like,
oh,
not even, I'm talking like pinky. It's gonna take you a couple weeks. A couple tries, a few tries. Because those muscles are not ready for this.
No,
they're just not ready for this. I'm just throwing out the examples.
What
but
about the other
men
guys?
want
Anybody
to
else?
jump into, the full on everything, and it doesn't work that way. Not if we are scared, if we're a little hesitant. You've got to work into it.
You led me right into something I want to talk about. Men, for the men out there that are listening, you need to establish. She could trust you with her life, but there's two types of trust. There's the trust inside the bedroom and the trust outside the bedroom. Trust inside the bedroom says everything that you do is with my pleasure in mind. Everything that you do is to make sure that this is an equally beneficial experience. And I feel that a lot of guys, they feel like, no, she trusts me. I'm a kid's father. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this man. And what they don't understand is that, no, that works good outside the door, outside the bedroom. That trust, she trusts you with money. She trusts you with the house, trusts you with her life. But once you get into that bedroom, if she finds you forcing situations, pushing when she says, hold on, stop, and you lose her trust inside the bedroom, it's a wrap, buddy. That's it. You're not getting,
because we're going to be, when the next time we say stop, it's going to be, no, we're done. We are over, finished.
Yeah.
Lisa, absolutely. You remember I worked with Lisa for a long time, and I used to work in the gym, all right, as one of the gym teachers in the school. And I remember, and I later on in life, I've decided to, whenever it comes to fantasies, to really approaching it like I did when I was a gym teacher. All right. A lot of times when you're a gym teacher, let's say a sport like football, the first couple of days are strictly drills, passing, catching, simple little drills, right? There's always kids in the class that are super athletes. There's always kids in the class that are super athletes that are, but why can't we just play the game? Why can't we just play the game? And what I would have to explain to them is those drills aren't for you. They're for the kids that don't know how to play. And I tell men, I'm like, listen, dude, when you're looking for the fantasy, you need to teach it like you would teach a sport. Introduce her to the small baby steps. Slowly, take your time. Make sure she's mastered those skills, those situations. And the other thing is, a lot of times, guys don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're asking for a fantasy and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They saw some shit on porn, now they want to try it. And they don't know what they're doing. They don't have the tools to do it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, introduce things slowly.
Can we even take it a little deeper though? Because you're talking about a woman that is still a willing but maybe reluctant participant. The reality of it is, if your woman is telling you no to something, her block could not be physical and it could be mental. So maybe there's just conversations that need to be had. Maybe there's a thought process behind anal, or there's a thought process behind this threesome that you want to have, or there's a thought process behind whatever it is that you want to try, that she's mentally blocked. So you can ease your way all you want, but if she's not there mentally...
Hold on, I had to get my pen. You said it could be a mental block. Gentlemen, write that down. It could be a mental block.
That you're not getting that little extra fun stuff. Let's try this. And she's like, no, I'm not going to try. Yeah, like there's something there. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's important to unpack that before you try to do any of the physical easing in. Otherwise, you're going to be met with resistance, or she'll go with it, but then she'll resent you for making her do something that she didn't really want to do in the first place.
Yeah. Wow. That's
and getting back to porn, like it's what that woman is doing in porn, that anal. That
anal with the fist.
I got traumatized.
Yes.
I got traumatized.
That talking like that woman has had a butt plug, and if you look, you can look on Amazon for butt plugs and starter kits, and they start off like this, and they gradually grow.
Yeah.
So that woman, her muscles are stretched, and that took some time to get like that. So you can't, when you're watching porn, you can exactly. When I see a woman's sphincter in freaking porn, come on. She's been working that. That is her job.
That is her job.
Is not doing that.
She's getting paid a lot of money. She's getting paid some good money to open up the back door. She's getting some good money.
She's getting good money to put all kinds of things in there.
Well, that's why there's companies out there now. Like there's one that I follow on Instagram. I forget the name, but it's a woman own directed porn company that is basically changing the narrative of porn and what
yes, I've heard about it.
Normal in a sexual, interaction, because men's reference always goes straight to porn, and women too. And we feel less than or inadequate because I don't have a sphincter that's like that. I don't know what to do with that. And so it works both ways.
Or some of us
change the narrative of like what's normal during sex, because there is really no normal. Like what's normal for a porn star is not going to be the same that's normal for
absolutely
somebody that is their first time. And so we have to take that all into consideration.
What about you guys? Have you ever come across a situation where you had a fantasy and the guy was the prude and the guy wasn't willing to participate? What are some of the things that like, I don't need you to go into detail about fantasies you're having, but like, what are some things that you're like, hey man, I wish men were, or you wish men were more open? Because a lot of times men talk a lot of shit and we'll talk about, my wife did, my girl did this and da-da-da. But then your girl or your wife does some real wild, crazy shit. And you're looking at her like, where the fuck did you learn that? Who the fuck? Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like
the alter ego comes out, especially like when you haven't been on a date in a while and we start drinking and you take us out dancing, even though you really hate dancing. And then we want to, blow you in the car coming home.
Yeah, one night you're out with your girl and all of a sudden you feel a little tickle on your asshole. You're like, yo, hey. What time out? Where'd you see that? Where'd you learn that? You know what I'm saying? You start to wonder what the fuck is going on here. But yeah, because I mean, telling you guys, we have
a lot of hangups. I remember I dated a guy that had an issue with his nipples being touched, and he just felt like that's for women. Only women are supposed to get sexually aroused by the nipples being touched, and it was just so like, dude.
Because the nipples are, for women, it's connected to our clitoris. For men, it's connected somewhere else.
But it feels good for a lot of men if they don't have a mental block around it.
Yeah.
It's a nice feeling. Just get into it, daddy.
Get into it. What do you
and
call?
that's another, Mike, take a note. The nipples are connected to the clitoris.
The nipples are connected.
Clitoris, however you want to say it. When you are working the nipples,
exclamation.
It's going to, leave that tingly feeling down there.
It's going to lead to that loving feeling. All right, I got another question. So, okay, what's the weirdest shit? Like you just named a hang up where a guy was like, I don't like it when.
All
right. Or what's the weirdest shit a guy's ever asked you to do? What's the weirdest shit you've ever heard of a guy asking for? Or what's the wildest shit or what's something that you found like completely? Go ahead, Lisa, together. What you got?
I'm like, I'm raising my hand. So the weirdest thing a guy ever asked me, right? Brace yourselves. Two weird things. One was if I would help him masturbate with my legs. Right? Number one. And number two was pegging. And I was just like,
oh, yeah, well,
I have some big hang-ups about male men and what I'm willing to have them be experienced too and be comfortable with.
Yeah, that could be shocking. That's
not on the agenda. It's not on the agenda.
I'm one of those.
And it was like straight out, like maybe like second date, like, hey,
oh shit,
are you into pegging?
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what?
He was living authentically. He put it out there. You can't knock him. Like, it's not your thing. It's not your thing.
Here's the thing. Like, I'll never knock somebody for their sexual like the things that they like sexually. Hey, look, if that's your
timing,
not necessarily my thing, but if that's what you're into,
cool. You're not wasting time, because if you're not into it, we're not going to take this any further.
He's not going to book another dinner. He's not going to take you out to another movie.
Right.
Forget it.
He was like a businessman, guys. Like he was like
he had a lot of
representative in a suit.
Man, between businessmen, businessmen, pastors, and freaking whatever, senators. Yeah, you're gonna get some wild shit, man. All right, Ileana, what's the craziest thing you've ever somebody's ever requested or you heard of?
I haven't had too many crazy requests. I did have a friend though that had a guy that invited her to a hotel room and wanted her to throw grapefruits at him. And that was their night. And he ended up paying her for it because she didn't think it was that kind of party. Like, she was just really feeling the dude, but that's what it ended up being. But I haven't had any crazy requests.
But like, even with friends, they haven't told you stories about like, yo, this dude was bugging, yo. He would sound like
the grapefruit. Yeah, that's pretty weird.
Yeah, that's pretty like
That's weird.
That was next level. But no, I mean, most dudes are just normal, you know, maybe some nipple pinching or like, I don't know anybody that's done the anal with the guys, or we're not that, my circle is not that adventurous.
What about you, Christina?
Oh, because I attract all the weirdos that want pictures of my feet right away. And I've had men ask me if I'm into water sports. He wanted me to pee on him.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, because that was the only way that he could get an erection. He wanted to be in a cold shower. And this is what we verbalized during dinner. And I'm like,
wow.
Okay.
So how did it go? No, just
no, it ended. It ended right there. I'm glad we took 2 separate cars, and I parked far enough away under a bright light, you know, because no, he wanted a ice cold shower. He wanted to lay down, and he wanted, me to stand over him and pee all over him, all over his chest.
That sounds like the beginning of a Biggie song.
Yeah. Oh, yes, you want to be. Oh my God, that's good. Yeah.
Listen, okay. I want vanilla to start off with. I want vanilla. I want nice.
For real.
Get me.
Can we get into the kinky shit 6 months down the line?
Yeah.
I always say this. I'm like, when I tell, and this is gonna lead to one of the last topics. I always tell guys, do not ask for a fantasy if you're not making your wife orgasm, or your girlfriend or your lady or whatever orgasm regularly. And that leads us into the next topic, orgasms. And the Oscar goes to, I think a lot of guys really think they're busting people's asses, and they don't really understand how often either a woman does not orgasm, or how often she fakes her orgasm, or how often it's not even a situation where she could even feel like she orgasms. Have you guys ever, again, talk to a friend or know women that they're like, yo, I fake it a couple of times a week just to keep the marriage happy, or I fake it a couple of times a week? Because I think it leads to men. We're going to lead into the men's part of it. Do you guys experience that, or guys that have like, yo, dude, you're not the magic man you think you are?
Absolutely. I don't know a single woman that hasn't at least faked it with one partner or more. Yeah. And dudes be really thinking they're putting it down, and they're not.
Yeah.
So, and it's an ego thing. It's an ego. I did not want to hurt my ex-husband's ego because he thought he was getting it. He was doing it. And
she put him out there now.
Shots fired.
That's why we are not together.
That's okay.
There
I'm
are
Team
many
Chris.
reasons why we are not together. That's one of them.
Well,
you can be big,
thing, right?
small. Size is not, you can think that you're big.
And I think, and then going back to like the guys, for men, it's always like the putting it down. Like, I've been with somebody that was like overly aggressive, and it's like, they had a nice package. I know we were talking earlier about size mattering, but it was just like pound town, and that's not fun. But they really felt like they did something, and it's like, okay, this is it.
All right, can you confirm something for me? All right, and again, I got my pen out. When a woman says right there, right there, a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll go faster,
right there,
or they'll go harder.
No,
is it not? There you go. Let them know. Let them know, girls. Let them know. What does that mean?
If we say right there, we mean what you're doing. Then keep it up. Don't fidget. Don't move 1 inch. Don't move a centimeter. Just keep it going.
Guys, are you listening?
Everything.
Men, are you listening? Are you listening? When she says right there, or she likes that, don't go faster. Don't change the stroke.
Don't go harder.
Don't go harder. stay exactly on the rhythm and the pace that you're on. If you stay right there, that's what she's asking you to do. I think that's something that guys need to learn.
When we say right there, we literally mean the touchdown will happen in any minute now.
That part.
You will hit you are hitting the goal. The goalie's moving out of the way. Any minute now, that puck's going in the net.
That puck's going in the net. No, it's so funny, right? We're talking about like, yeah. So like I said, I was like, yo, man, I always tell guys, I'm like, if you're not making your woman orgasm regularly, don't even bother, bro. Because what benefit is she getting? Don't get me wrong. There's sometimes with intimacy and sex, you don't have to orgasm. It's about the touch. It's about the, I get that, right? But for the most part, you want to get paid. And I'm like, dude, you asking somebody to work overtime and you're not willing to dish out no cash? What the fuck is wrong with you? What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So one of my big rules is if you're not making an orgasm regularly, stop asking for fantasies, yo. You need to start on phase 1. You need to go back to remedial math. You know what I'm saying? Go back to remedial math, learn the basics before you want to start doing calculus.
You know what they need to do too? You know what they need to do too? Stop watching whatever porn you're watching right now and look up romantic porn. Okay? Look it up because not everybody wants to be roughed up. Sometimes we need you to have some finesse. So look up romantic porn. It totally exists.
Here's the thing. I think
you'll actually find some clues.
I think it has more to do with the conversation. Have the conversation. I think that a lot of times, again, man, I'll always go back to this. For men in situations, we lead with our ego. So our ego doesn't let us have real conversations. Real conversations meaning like, hey, babe, like, yo, I know I've been coming real fast. Yo, could you help me? Or what could we do? Or, there's conversations you have to have, yo. For real, a lot of times you lead with your ego. And what ends up happening is you're not satisfying anybody. You're not satisfying anybody and whatever. So you need to go to them and be like, hey, what is it that you want? What is it that you like? Let's talk about this. And this is separate from the bedroom. This is not necessarily, I would say, intimacy is one of those things. It's like groceries. You go shopping for groceries, right? You don't necessarily cook that night with everything that you buy. You know what I mean? And intimacy is the same way. You need to give and provide that intimacy with your spouse, your lady, your significant other. And that doesn't mean sex that night. Sometimes you're banking it for the future so that, you're literally banking it so that when it comes time, she remembers those beautiful things you did. I used to have a conversation with a girlfriend of mine and she would tell me, yo, like, if you want me to have the real orgasm, like the big one, yo, you start that shit on Monday. Start that shit on Monday so that Saturday night I can have that big one. And I always was like, what? What do you mean? And then as I got older and more mature, I started to understand. Do the things that make it easy for me to concentrate on my pleasure. You know what I mean? And again, you guys can co-sign for this for me. I don't know. I'm literally, like I told you, I'm taking notes.
Absolutely.
A lot of times.
The other thing is, I think as women, we also need to stop faking orgasms. Let's we need to stop doing that, regardless of your ego.
We're enabling these men.
Exactly. Because that's in our nature. We're loving and we're caring and we want you to be happy. But at the same time, we're enabling the bullshit.
And also let them know that, like, here's the thing. Let them know that there's other avenues to an orgasm.
And there's two different types of orgasms.
Right.
There's internal and then there's clitoral stimulation. So you've got to learn these things. And women, we need to tell men, hey, yeah.
You will literally condition behavior by not telling them. They literally think that the 6 minutes that they're in there, right, are knocking it down and that they're doing what they need to be done. And but they don't realize that if you talk to them, you have that communication, you'd be like, buddy, all you need is 8. I'm almost there. You know what I'm saying? Like, chill. Like, why are you know what I'm saying? These conversations or how about this? I think there's this one. You can't be afraid to ask what you want. Be like, Papa, your penis ain't doing it for me. I need you to go down low. You know what I'm saying? Or I need you to do this. Whatever it is you need. Point being communication.
At that point, it's time to break up. I'm sorry, but whatever.
Well, that's a good question. So like, you're with somebody, they're amazing, but the sex is terrible. Can you stay with them?
Oh, no.
If they are not teachable,
I mean,
No.
yeah.
If they're not
I guess
teachable.
they have to be open.
Some men who are
learning.
like, yeah, there are some men who are like, no, I know how to do this, and it goes to their ego. So
Yeah.
if they're not teachable, then no.
Like, I laugh because I run across a lot of guys that are extremely physically fit. And no doubt that that's a part of sex. You know, you should be physically fit. There's things you're going to be able to do. But they think that because they're physically fit, because they have something, you know, they're working with something, that's enough. And I'm glad that we're having these conversations, because right off the rip, you guys are talking about how, no, there's a mental component to this. There's a treatment that I need from men. It's not enough to be good looking, especially after you've been in a relationship for like 10, 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you still want your partner to be attractive, but it's on the back burner compared to how emotionally and how mentally they stimulate you, and how.
But even shallower than that, just because your dick is big doesn't mean you can work it. Like, dude, you have their size matters a little bit, but that whole there's motion to the ocean thing, like there is something to that too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to work the equipment, because if you're just like an in and out, like that's not enjoyable. You know, we need some.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Finesse. Some finesse.
Little ribbed for her pleasure. You know, there's reasons for those things.
All of that.
What do you call it? All right, so we're gonna close it out with this right here. First, let me tell you the weirdest shit I've had a friend tell me. The weirdest shit I had a friend tell me.
Friend.
The weirdest shit was my friend was having sex, and this girl that he was having sex with was like, hit me, right? And he was like, oh, okay. So he kind of like gave her a little slap. She's like, no, fucking hit me. And he was like, okay, so he hit her a little bit harder. And then finally she jumped up and was like, you're a bitch. You don't let me hit me. I said, hit me. And my man was like, like what the fuck? Yo, wanted black eyes, like wanted her ass kicked mid-stroke.
You and me might have the same friend.
What happened?
You and me might have the same friend.
Yo,
one of my friends likes to get hit.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, cool. My
She
friend
wants to be like punched in the face.
Yeah,
punch her in the
okay.
face.
You know, okay, what is the deal breaker? What is the deal breaker sex-wise? Let's go around just to close this out. What is the deal breaker that if a guy does A, he's definitely not getting B? What is a deal breaker?
If he oversteps a boundary that I've already made clear is a boundary without a conversation.
Boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
Absolutely. Boundaries. If you hit my face, we're gonna have a problem.
So no fish hooking?
No, I mean like slapping. I think that for me, there's a difference between a slap on the ass and a slap on the face.
Yeah.
To me, maybe because I don't have like, I don't know.
I get it. Hey, I get it.
I think there's, to me, and this is only my personal opinion. I think there's women who like that. Oh, pretend you're raping me, and I don't think that's a fantasy.
My friend did that.
Beyond fantasy.
My
in
friend
certain
did that.
cases.
Yeah,
so
my friend did
those
that.
are like.
My friend did that, and then she got up and called the cops.
Yeah.
My friend, she was like, "No, I didn't mean it like that."
Wow.
That's a terrible joke. My bad.
Yeah, there's a whole
Careful what you wish for.
world. Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, there's
There's a
Yeah,
difference
definitely.
between a choke and like I can't breathe.
Correct.
Yeah.
Stop.
no. How about this? How about
Whether
this?
it's, a
Has anybody-
blowjob or your hand around my neck.
Has anybody
Yeah.
ever said something? Has anybody ever said something during sex that you look up like, motherfucker? No, what do you mean? Like, why you said something completely outlandish that fucked you up? Like, I remember when I was younger,
Yelled,
like
mommy.
Oh my God.
Mommy, no. He was white. He was white.
Mommy.
As
Wow.
he ejaculated, I don't know if that was maybe it was an orgasm in his point. But he was like, mommy.
Oh God.
Yikes.
I attract the
like, please leave my bed now.
That was the one. That was
Oh
that
my
was
God.
the trigger. I never
We're
saw
gonna close
him
out with this.
that. I
I think
blocked
men
and everything.
men need to open up their minds when approaching their woman, their significant other, the person that they're having sex with. I think that they need to really explore and communicate boundaries. I think they need to take their time. They need to understand that their needs work much differently than a woman's needs. Like I said, a lot of the guys that I deal with, they have this really one-sided, male-driven thoughts on sex. And I'm glad you guys took the time out tonight to kind of give your side of it. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of guys out there that think they're gigolos, that think they're the cat's meow. And the reality of it is they're continuously making the same mistakes. And women are having conversation behind their back talking about, yeah, it wasn't all that, or he's not all that, or he thinks he's some good shit, but he's not. So I want to thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate the conversation. Ladies and gentlemen.
Do we have closing remarks?
Oh, yeah. Does anybody? Yeah. I can see you jumping. What you got?
I got one. So if to the men out there, get your pen out. If you want to have a fantasy day, you have fantasies that you want to have with your partner, you and her make a list of what your fantasies are. You discuss the list, right? And whatever you don't agree on, you get rid of it, right? Rip up the list, put the little tabs of whatever, role play.
Can we have non-negotiables?
Teacher, student, whatever, And the things that you agreed are okay with both, put it in a hat, and every night or once a week or once a month, pick one out of the hat.
I like
it. It was fair. You both agreed to what was in that hat, and then there's no confusion later.
I like it.
Eliana, any closing remarks?
I just think in summary, I mean, you kind of said it, but also, sex is not, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I think it's important for men to realize that the things that you did for a woman, the things that you did for one woman that might have drove her crazy could drive another woman crazy in the exact opposite way. And so it's important to learn your partner. And really, I mean, sometimes that's as simple as a conversation, or when you're doing things, ask for feedback and, really understand what works, because what I like might not be what she likes or vice versa.
So basically one size does not fit all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's important.
Even when you're great. And that's the thing, because I think, have all these general tips and learn your woman and be this, and you can be all of that and then still meet a woman where you're falling short because you're just not doing whatever it is else that she might need. So
you're not punching her in the face.
You know what I'm saying? Spitting or whatever it is she needs. Fisting, all of it.
Yo, girl. Christina, what you got? Closing remarks.
Start here. Start here. Start here.
I love it.
Because everything down there is a muscle, and they're muscles, and you want to relax them. You want them to feel comfortable. So start here.
That's fantastic. My closing remark is, hey, man, when it comes to fantasy, introduce them slowly so that they're a mutually beneficial experience so that everybody gets to have fun. Just because you know the sport, it doesn't mean that the person you're with really understands and knows the sport. Take your time, teach it so that everybody can have fun. Trust is a two-sided thing. It's outside of the bedroom and inside of the bedroom. She needs to know that the things that you do are not going to hurt her and that they're for her pleasure. If you could establish that reputation within the bedroom, you'll see that she'll go a couple of steps further because she now trusts that you're not going to hurt her. And she trusts that you're putting her feelings and her physical needs first. And with that, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, Thank you very much. This has been a great episode. I really appreciate you guys. And this is the Hopeful Romantic Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, peace.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.